It was the kind of night that settled uneasily over the city. Rain hammered down in relentless sheets, obscuring the streets and painting everything in a sinister gleam. Thomas adjusted the rear-view mirror of his beat-up delivery van, squinting through the windshield as the wipers struggled to keep up with the deluge. He glanced at the address on his delivery app, a remote house on the outskirts of town, deep in the woods. Figures, he muttered to himself. The order had come through at 11:30 p.m., and Thomas, desperate for extra cash, accepted it despite his better judgment. Late-night deliveries weren't unusual, but something about this one felt off. The name listed for the delivery was just R. Blackwood. No first name, no phone number. And the item? A single, oddly shaped package wrapped in brown paper and tied with twine. It was heavier than it looked, and the faint scent of earth clung to it. As he drove farther from the city, the streets grew narrower, and the streetlights became fewer and farther between. The GPS guided him to a dirt road shrouded by towering trees, their gnarled branches clawing at the sky. The van's headlights struggled to penetrate the suffocating darkness, and Thomas couldn't shake the feeling that he was being watched. He glanced at the package sitting on the passenger seat. For a brief moment, he thought he saw it twitch. "Get a grip," he muttered, shaking his head. The road ended abruptly in front of a wrought iron gate, rusted and adorned with grotesque carvings. A stone plaque embedded in the gatepost read Blackwood Manor. Thomas sighed and stepped out of the van, rain drenching him instantly. He pressed the intercom button next to the gate. Static crackled before a deep, gravelly voice answered. "You have the package?" "Yeah," Thomas replied, shivering. "Can you open the gate?" The voice didn't respond, but the gate creaked open on its own. Thomas hesitated before climbing back into the van and driving through. The driveway was lined with dead trees, their skeletal limbs stretching skyward like they were begging for mercy. At the end of the path stood the manor, a sprawling, decaying structure that looked like it hadn't been touched in decades. Thomas parked and grabbed the package, holding it tightly as he approached the massive wooden door. Before he could knock, the door swung open. No one was there. "Hello?" he called out, his voice echoing through the cavernous space. The foyer was dimly lit by a single chandelier, its crystals coated in dust. The air was thick with the scent of mildew and something metallic. A shadow moved at the edge of his vision, but when he turned, the hallway was empty. "Leave it on the table," the same gravelly voice said, though it sounded closer now. Thomas's heart raced as he spotted a small table near the staircase. He placed the package down, but as he turned to leave, the package began to writhe. The twine snapped and the brown paper fell away, revealing a small wooden box covered in strange symbols. It shuddered violently before the lid flew open. A piercing scream erupted from the box, filling the room with a sound so unearthly that Thomas dropped to his knees, covering his ears. Shadows began to pour out of the box, twisting and coiling like living smoke. They spread rapidly, darkening the room and distorting reality. The walls seemed to stretch and breathe, and the shadows, now vaguely humanoid, moved with malicious intent. Thomas stumbled to his feet, running toward the door, but it slammed shut in his face. The shadows closed in, their whispering voices clawing at his sanity. He turned to see a figure standing at the top of the staircase. It was tall and skeletal, draped in a tattered black cloak. Its face was obscured, but its glowing red eyes bored into him. "You shouldn't have come," the figure said, its voice like nails on a chalkboard. I was just delivering the package," Thomas stammered, backing away. "And now you're part of the offering," it hissed. The shadows surged forward, enveloping Thomas. He felt an unbearable cold seep into his bones as the darkness consumed him. The last thing he saw was the box snapping shut, its symbols glowing faintly before everything went black. The next morning, the van was found abandoned outside the gate of Blackwood Manor. The package was gone, and Thomas was never seen again. Rumors spread about the delivery driver who disappeared, but the police dismissed it as another urban legend. But late at night, some say you can still hear the sound of a van's engine idling near the manor, followed by a faint, blood-curdling scream.